There's this new game that's out, and I've been having a ton of fun playing it, so I figured I'd share it with you. It's only been out for a week, and I've already played it for over 50 hours. It's called Everwind, and while it might just look like Minecraft with airships, it's much more than that. This video will give you a sense of what the game is about, and I'll be comparing ways that Everwind is both similar to and different from Minecraft, because even though both games share a lot of similarities, there are also many fundamental differences. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll have a good idea of whether or not you want to try this game. In Everwind, your base is your airship, which you acquire very early on. With your airship, you visit islands, both at sea level and floating in the sky. As you upgrade your airship, you'll be able to go to higher altitudes and visit the higher tier islands that are found there. Your airship needs balloons to be able to fly and engines to move around. These in turn need to be powered by burning fuel and power generators, and power is transmitted through pipes. You also need a cockpit to control your airship. In Everwind, you always have a compass and telescope on hand. The telescope lets you see distant islands and will indicate if a dungeon is present. The compass has a very important ability, and that's to return you back to your spawn point, which is usually the cockpit of your airship. This is very useful for if you fall off your ship or when you've completed a dungeon and you want to go back to base. The compass also shows you waypoints that you've set, and it can be upgraded to show you points of interest and also life forms within a certain radius. Later on, you can also find a glider that's useful for descending onto islands from your airship without having to land. I'll go over the similarities and differences with Minecraft in just a bit, but first, I'll give you a quick tour of my airship so you can get a quick idea of what one might look like. Keep in mind that your first airship will be small and basic, and that my airship is one that you might expect to achieve somewhere around the mid-game. Alright, so let's start with how to fly the ship. So this is the cockpit, and I press E to interact with it, and now it'll change into this view, and then I can just move around with WASD. So I can just press forward, and you see my speed goes up to 1. If I hit W again, it goes up to 2 and then 3. So there are 3 speeds, and the speed depends on how much you've upgraded your airship and how many engines you have. So I can slow down by pressing S, and I can also go into reverse. And then to go up and down, I press spacebar, and to go down, well, I press shift. So you see I've reached the highest level, so it tells me that, but I can go down with shift, and then if I press spacebar, well, I'll start to rise back up. I can also press Q to change the viewpoint, so I can actually fly around in first person, which is useful for if you want to get up close to a structure or mine the underside of an island. And you can also press Z to completely stop everything. So you actually need to power your ship, so you need to feed fuel to these energy generators. So here I've got some wood, so I've got 50 logs, and it says that this is good for 152 minutes, and you can start and stop your energy generators as you want, so you don't have to always burn the material that's inside. So if I go ahead and turn this off and I just press stop, we're gonna see that some of these balloons here, they turn red and they become inactive. Same with the engines here. So if I look at this for long enough, there's gonna be this little information that comes up, and it says there's 20 energy for 1 energy generator, and my whole ship needs 116, but only 100 is being provided. So if I turn this one back on, well, we're going to see that now we're going to generate 120 energy, which is more than what's being consumed by the engines and the balloons. So if I go here, we'll see that each balloon uses 10 energy, and the engines only use 3. So I do have quite a bit of engines, and I also have 8 balloons. So since I'm up in the sky, I don't want to turn the engines off because that'll make my airship slowly fall down to sea level, and I don't want to go down there right now. So I leave them on, but if you land on an island, generally it's good to turn them off, even though it's a bit tedious. Personally, I don't always turn them off, but I do if I'm going to spend a long time there. So we've got the balloons, and these let you go up and down, and we've got the engines, which control your speed. And now there's this right here, and this is the ship core. So if I press E, you'll see the 3 different upgrades that I have. So you have a maximum speed, a maximum size, and a maximum altitude. So I've reached the maximum altitude that's available right now. So the game is in early access. It's still very full of features. So I mean, I've been playing for over 50 hours. I still haven't seen everything yet, but I have the maximum altitude, I have the maximum size, and I can still upgrade the speed, but I haven't done that yet. So there is a ton of content even if the game is in early access, and the devs are really responsive, so you can leave suggestions and bug reports in their Discord, and they've been very good with addressing those with hot fixes and patches. And here I've got some plants. So in Everwind, you don't plant crops, you just like put them in planters. So you need to actually have these planters here, these flower pots, and you make farm soil. So you need to craft this with regular dirt and bone meal comes from bones, just like in Minecraft. You can also build an incubator, which is a more advanced form of the flower pot, and this lets you ignore the altitude requirements for plants. So if I go here, it says this is good for altitude 1, 2, 3, this is good for altitude 1 and 2, and so is this one. I'm not sure quite where the altitudes are, but 1 is the lowest and then 3 is the highest. So maybe these aren't too happy right now because I'm too high. I'm not quite sure though. And yeah, this is the rest of my airship. So I just put these statues here for decoration. They don't do anything, but they look kind of neat. And I've also got some lights here on the sides. And let's go underneath where I have my storage and some other things. So there's a lot of different crafting blocks in Everwind. So it's not like Minecraft where you just have the crafting table. So the crafting station is pretty basic and lets you build all the other stations. And you have things like the block station, which lets you build blocks. You have the alchemy station, which lets you make potions. The rune crafting station, where you make runes. There's the spirit charging station, which allows you to recharge your magical items like staves and books. So these things have a set amount of charges, and you need to use the spirit crystal dust to recharge them. So there's also the sewing machine station, which lets you make clothes. There's the carpenter station, which lets you make special decorative blocks out of wood. And there's also the smithing station, which is really important because that's where you'll make the vast majority of your weapons, armor, and tools. So the basic crafting station does allow you to make some of the lower tier weapons and tools, which is stone and copper. So the tiers in Everwind are stone, copper, bronze, iron, and steel. And there's a few other weapons too that you'll find that don't really fit into that mold, but the general tiers are those ones. So another very important station is the furnace, and this is where you will smelt things. So currently I have access to glass, tin, copper, bronze, iron, magnesium, steel, and aluminum. And there's also the upgrade station, which allows you to upgrade your weapons, armor, and tools to a higher tier. So here, there's this 2 right here. This is because this has been upgraded twice. This one has been upgraded 3 times. They haven't been upgraded by me. I found them in dungeons, I found them as loot, and they were already upgraded. So typically I don't really upgrade my weapons or tools or armor because they need these crystals, and these crystals are also used to upgrade your airship. So I've been prioritizing upgrading my airship versus upgrading my gear, because a lot of gear, you find a sword, let's say I find a bronze sword, I don't want to use crystals to upgrade it if I'm just going to get an iron or a steel sword in the next dungeon. And another very important station is the cooking station, which is where you make food. So food in Everwind is for healing both your health and your stamina. Different foods will heal different things. This one will heal stamina, this one will heal your health. And how crafting and cooking works in Everwind, it's not like Minecraft where you have a crafting grid and you put certain things in certain positions. What you do is you select what you want to make. So here I can just have regular roasted meat that'll just only take meat, or I can make something more advanced that'll heal you more, like crispy meat strips, which will take multiple ingredients, and it'll just display what's in your inventory, and you select how many you want to make. So I can click here, I can make 10, I can make the maximum, and it'll take the items from your inventory to craft what you want to make. So another station that's a bit more advanced is the processing station. So if you played Create Mod, this works like the crushing wheels, which allow you to break down things into their component parts. So if I start this engine here, I can actually start the processing station, and what it's doing in this case is it's taking these copper nails and it's going to give me copper ore. So you'll see it's slowly processing the copper nails, but my ore isn't going up yet because it takes a lot of nails to get even 1 copper ore. So we'll just wait a while and watch, and we'll see that eventually I'm going to get some more copper ore. Now let's compare Everwind with Minecraft. Both are voxel games where you mine ores, chop trees, and gather food. But in Everwind, you won't be digging Minecraft-style strip mines. Instead, you'll find surface deposits both on the top of islands and on their undersides. There will be a few caves that contain ores, but you'll only want to be mining what's already visible on the cave surfaces. Trees are also completely cut down when harvested in Everwind, so you don't need to worry about floating leaves or logs. Farming is a lot more like gardening than in Minecraft, since you're living on a mobile base. This means that you need to water your plants regularly, or else they dry out and die. Like in Minecraft, you can plant saplings, though there are no seeds and not every edible plant type can be grown. Much like Minecraft, the world of Everwind is full of ruined structures and filled with undead, though in Everwind you don't need to worry about light levels since this has no effect on spawning monsters. Everwind also has villages, but only some villagers offer trades. You can loot these villages without consequence, but like the Iron Golem in Minecraft, the town guard in Everwind will come after you if you harm any villagers. Although both games have dungeons and special structures, there's a much larger emphasis on clearing out dungeons in Everwind. The special items you need to upgrade your airship come primarily from looting dungeons and defeating certain enemies that are found only there. In Minecraft, you can improve your gear by enchanting it, but in Everwind, you can both upgrade your gear with the upgrade station and also apply runes to them to give you special powers. There's also potion brewing, which instead of nether wart requires magic liquid. In Everwind, XP isn't for enchanting. Instead, you gain levels which give you more HP and let you unlock skills from 3 different classes. Both games have varied biomes where different structures and trees can spawn, but in Everwind, certain biomes can only be found at higher altitudes, with jungles and steamer islands only found higher up. There are also forest, desert, and swamp biomes as of now. Now I'll show you some gameplay where I'll fly around and explore an island and clear a dungeon so that you can get a feel of what gameplay is like. And after that, I'll start a new world and show you how to get your first airship. Alright, so now let's go exploring and find an island that we want to clear. So once the ship is moving, we can actually press E to leave the cockpit right here, and we can walk around and look around, which is useful because we're going to want to use our telescope. So I'll just press T right here, and I can switch between the compass and the spyglass, as it's called, if I press R and scroll, and this lets us look at the islands. So that one's unexplored, and it shows us that it has a dungeon, and it also shows us how far away it is. Alright, so that island looks kind of interesting. There's some towers, and there's a ship right there, but it doesn't have a dungeon, so maybe I won't visit that one. Oh, but there's a cool ship there, so maybe we'll go down there anyway. So I actually don't have to go all the way down because I have a glider. So I just only recently got the glider, so I can actually just jump off and press spacebar and it will let me glide down. So the glider is a pretty advanced thing, and you have to find it from these special vaults on certain islands, and you need a special key to go into the vaults to get the glider. Actually, you get a recipe and you have to craft the glider from parts. So right now I'm running around and I'm waiting for my health to recover. So how it works is you eat the food and your health slowly recovers over a certain amount of seconds. So it's actually kind of smart to eat food and then run into the fight, because you'll heal as you're fighting. So I'm gonna run away a little bit, and as soon as I'm done healing, I'm gonna heal again. So you see the little cross went away. Now I'll eat and then I'll start healing again, so I can actually heal while I'm fighting. I have a bow and arrow that I should use because it lets me fight them from far away. And I currently have an upgrade that lets me shoot multiple arrows, so I can actually hit a lot of them at the same time. Well, I have to be careful though because my stamina is dropping, because you see at the bottom it's only at 21, so it'll actually recover if I don't run or exert myself. So now it's recovered and I can actually run around and beat those guys. So now that we've beaten them, we can actually try to find some chests. No, I don't think there's any chests up here. There's some barrels that we can break though, but there's not usually great stuff in barrels, just basic items. So I'll just loot some of these barrels and chests. So it's actually not all chests. So this is a dresser and I can find things in here. So I found a recipe. So you don't actually have the ability to craft everything. You have to usually find a recipe first, or sometimes when you find a block, you can actually learn it just from breaking that block. So here I found a recipe for iron nails, and I don't see myself ever crafting these because you get a lot of iron nails just from breaking barrels. So you get copper nails from lower tier barrels and iron nails from higher tier barrels. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to learn that recipe. And to see all your recipes, you can press V and go into recipes, and it'll show you the recipes for everything and which station you need to craft that. So I said I was going to go visit a dungeon, so let me teleport back onto my airship using the compass, and we'll go find ourselves an actual dungeon. Alright, so the reason why I want to go to dungeons is because that's where you get better stuff. So you can find good stuff in things that aren't dungeons, so these are points of interest, but the best stuff is in dungeons, so bosses and like some good loots in there. So now I'll use the telescope, and the light on the right is lighting up, so that means that these are actual dungeons. Let's go have a look. So let's go see what clearing a dungeon looks like. And this is quite unusual because it's an island that's directly above another island. And this right here is one of the things I wanted to show you. So you can actually find some entrances to dungeons on the underside of islands, and it's pretty cool because it lets you skip to the end and you don't have to go through everything, and you can just kind of go and grab the best stuff if you're willing to kind of just sneak in there. So I'm just gonna angle my airship to get in there, and my airship isn't the best design to do this. I should have some sort of platform that sticks out, but I can still get my front end close enough here, and I can eventually just angle it right so that I can sneak in. So in this case, it's actually best to change the view to first person. So there's one of those crystals I was talking about that's so valuable. So it's kind of just floating there, which is weird, but I'll just grab it. And those crystals are one of the important things that you can get in dungeons. So this is on a forest island and it's full of skeletons. So the skeleton faction are Mordivars. And I don't know if this was the end of the dungeon, but I'm just going to fight this guy off. And then I'm going to show you something that's a useful trick when you're clearing out dungeons. So he just fell through this hole, which is kind of funny. So the skeleton is actually just right there on that island if he survived the fall, which he probably didn't. So I'll switch over to the compass. And I'll switch to another mode. So this is life detection mode, and you can get this by putting levels into the engineer tech tree. So actually I'll show you that right now. So this is the level. So you have warrior, arcanist, and engineer. Warriors for fighting skills, arcanist is for magic skills, and engineers for more technical skills. So right here I have a point into life detection, and there's also another point that you can put into area scan, which will show you points of interest when you have the compass. And just something to note is that there's no pause when you're in the menu. Even if you press escape, this does not pause it, even in single player. So I've made the mistake of thinking I was paused, and then I went away, and then I came back to my computer and I died and my stuff despawned. So that was unfortunate. Though you do keep your actual equipment and some of your inventory, though a lot of it will be lost and you have to go and recuperate it later. So back to the compass, if I go here into life detection mode and I hold right click, well, it'll show me where the monsters are. So this is good for finding if there's a boss, or usually the deeper you go in the dungeon, the better the loot. So it looks like I'm pretty deep, and I was able to bypass everything, which is kind of cool. But let's just go through the dungeon a little bit just to show you what a typical dungeon might look like. So I can surprise this guy right here and get some hits on him before he wakes up. What I like to do is I like to run around and try to get around them so that they can't hit me if I'm on their backside. And there's also blocking. So I have a shield and I can block some attacks like that. There, I'm taking a lot of hits. So I better run back here and eat some food. So you're going to be doing this a lot. You're going to be fighting and running back to eat some food. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm not very good at fighting and I just have to do that. So this guy's an archer. He's going to try to shoot me with arrows. He's not very good at melee, and he's pretty useless right now. And sometimes you'll see some barrels that have these little monsters in them. So if you try to break them, these guys are going to pop out, and then you have to beat them, and then they give you some meat and wood. So even though I started at the end of the dungeon, there's still useful things in the other parts of the dungeon. So if I go and look in these cabinets, I mean, I can find some stuff like lockpicks, which let me open chests. Oh, and I have a new recipe. Good. This is the Forest Rite Feast recipe, which lets me, I mean, it's another recipe so I can make some better food. Higher tier food will heal more, and you get that often in dungeons. You can also buy that in villages. So you can actually use items when they're in your inventory. So if I just hold E and press on it, well, I can actually use it directly instead of putting it into the hotbar and using it there. And that's also true for things like food. So I can just directly eat food or drink potions out of my inventory without having to first put them on my hotbar and then using them. So I'm not going to go through the whole dungeon. I think you guys get the idea. Let's explore and find some of the other kinds of islands that we might encounter. So to get back to my ship, I'm just going to use my compass and I'm going to teleport back to it. So let's go have a look at some of the other islands that we might encounter. So sometimes when you're flying around, you'll spot some glowing lights, and these are pretty good to investigate because often there's some useful crystals. So there's a flashing light down there. It might just be a chest, but it could be a useful crystal. So I'm just going to fly down here. So this is a jungle island, and these are pretty dangerous because of velociraptors. So I'm going to try to not get absolutely destroyed. Okay, so that light is actually just a chest, so I might actually just get destroyed here for no reason. Though I did see a light over here, so I'm gonna have my compass ready. Aha. Yes, so this is a crystal. I'll grab that and then I'll teleport back to my airship. I'll just show you how tough these velociraptors are. So this guy's gonna see, so they just dealt like 100 damage almost right there. So, and they're really fast because they're velociraptors, so those guys are just too strong. They're the scariest thing in this game, I think. Okay, so see, I was able to just nab a crystal of spirit, which is one of the three crystals. So there's three kinds of crystals. There's the crystal of force, the crystal of spirit, and the crystal of blaze. So these are the first ones you'll find, and then the crystal of spirit and the crystal of blaze are things that you'll find later on, and you need them for a lot of important things, usually upgrading or building special things. I just realized that one of the armors that I found was better than my existing armor. So before I had this one, which gave 23 armor, so I swapped that for this one, which has 28. So this is a steel chest plate, which is pretty advanced. Oh, and I also have this champion steel helmet. That's better. Oh yeah, so you have two different armor slots. So this is your actual armor, and this is your visual armor. So if you don't have anything there, it's just going to use what's in your actual armor. So I had just had this here because my stronger helmet was kind of goofy looking. So if I just put this back, I'll show you. Like, this is what I would have looked like. So I didn't like that, so I put this iron helmet here, and it looks more normal rather than this weird rusty steamer metal helmet. So I'll just put this champion steel helmet back on, and I have a lot more armor, and I think my guy looks pretty good. These tiers of armor look pretty nice. Okay, so I'll show you one more island. So there's the steamer islands, which the steamers, they have a lot of they're like an advanced civilization, and a lot of the things to build your airship come from the steamers. So you can get steamer parts from other islands. You can find crashed airships, and you can loot those for parts like the balloons and the engines and everything pertaining to the higher tech stuff like the pipes or the processing station that I showed you earlier. All that comes from steamer technology. So I'm just going to fly around until I find a steamer island to show you what it looks like. Oh yeah, and another thing is that the world, you seem to be on the moon of some kind of gas giant. So there's this big planet here, and there's some rings all over here. So I don't know if that's why the islands are floating. Is it because of the gravity of this giant planet? Is it magic? Is it some sort of technological thing? I don't know. It's not really explained, which is kind of neat. So you kind of get clues about the world. Sometimes you can read inscriptions, and oh yeah, if you go to the statues, you can actually read what's on them. So, you know, this one just talks about some king. This is about warriors, and this guy here, he seems to be some ancient, is he a god? He's a lord of wisdom and keeper of ancient truths. He's got this crystal in his hands, which is one of the crystals of force, which are pretty important. So he seems to be an important guy, but they don't outright tell you a lot of things. A lot of it is kept ambiguous. So are there any steamer islands around here? Sometimes they'll be flying around for a very long time before you find some kind of island that you're looking for. So part of the game is just flying around and being patient until you find the island that you want. Oh, so that's actually a village. So when these buildings, when they've got these green roofs, they're villager buildings. So actually, let's go see the village. So you can talk to the villagers. They'll just talk to you when you look at them. And you can, you can break stuff in the villages and they're not going to get mad. But if you attack them, the village guard will attack you, and that is not good. So one thing you can do is you can just break these windows. So it's not like Minecraft where you need silk touch. You can just break them and get them. And then you can talk to the vendors. So they'll be standing behind these desks. And if I talk to him, I can see the trays that he has. So this is how much money he has. So you can actually sell things to them. So I can just sell, let's say, these pumpkins, and then I'll get some gold. But he has a maximum amount of gold. So you can't just like sell him like 1,000 pieces of dirt for like 1,000 gold. It's not going to work. There's a limited amount of gold that they have available to buy your stuff from you. So he's got some recipes, and the recipes are pretty expensive. I mean, so like they're less expensive than the actual weapons. So these are actually really expensive. I can't afford these. Right now, I only have 196 gold. And by the way, you carry gold in your inventory. And right now they go up to stacks of 1,000. So it's easy to carry large amounts of gold on you. It's just that they take up slots in your inventory. So there's actually some surface deposits right here. So I can just go ahead and mine those, and I'll get some copper ore. So it's not like Minecraft where you just like mine underground mines. You kind of just find stuff on the surface or underneath islands sometimes. Sometimes you'll find caves and there's some ores in there, but you're not going to make strip mines like in Minecraft. You could, but it's just not a very effective way of getting ores. Another thing about villages is there's these task boards, so I can just look at it and press E, and it's gonna give me a quest. Okay, collect 28 pumpkins. Not super exciting, but if I collect 28 pumpkins and then I come back with the pumpkins to any building like this, there'll be someone inside. It's this guy right here. So he is, I guess he's the Lord or something. He's got a special name. I forget what it is, but he'll be the one to give you your rewards for collecting the pumpkins. And you can go to any village. It doesn't have to be the one where you got the task. All right, let's go back to our airship and find that steamer island. Okay, so I've spotted a steamer island, and I know it's a steamer island because of the structure that's on it. So you see down there, it's got this tall thing that looks kind of like an antenna. So I'm gonna go down there and we're gonna see what a steamer island looks like. Actually, there's a few, so sometimes you'll find a whole bunch of them together. Sometimes they'll be few and far between. So let's just go here, and oh, there seems to be quite a few things. The steamer islands are very technological, and they're also very polluted. So if I go down here, we'll see what we can find. So there's that hole in the ground here, and that brings us to this underground place. There's also this structure here. It might be some kind of factory. So let's just drop in. And what's fun is you can just drop in onto the top of places. So I can pick up some scrap here. That's useful for crafting certain things. Yeah, so the steamers are these robots. They're not very dangerous, but when you beat them, they just explode. So it's best to get away from them. So one thing about steamer stuff is you can't just break the blocks. They're indestructible unless you have a drill, and the drill isn't in the game yet because it's still early access. And it makes it so that you kind of have to just go through it like an actual dungeon instead of just mining through the wall. And there's even this steamer vault key, and the vaults are actually like these dungeons that you need a key to open. So sometimes they're dungeons, sometimes they just have a useful item inside. So I'll take this because this is quite valuable because it lets me get in to the actual steamer vaults, which might have some good loot inside. So sometimes on steamer islands, you can find this, which is the fabricator. And this is the only way to craft certain steamer things. So if I want to make, let's say, a rotor, which is necessary for making engines, I could craft that here. Same thing for balloon attachments. Normally, you would find balloon attachments or rotors already built on wrecked ships if you find them. But you can also build this and other things here at the fabricator station. So the processing station is one of the things that you build there. And so is the incubator, which lets you grow plants with ignoring their altitude. Though I think the processing station you can also build at a regular crafting station. Yeah, so the processing station can be built at both a fabricator and a crafting station. Oh, and another thing is on these steamer islands, there's these larvae, and they explode when you get too close to them. So they're like creepers in Minecraft, except they don't blow up the train. They just blow up your character. And they also deal damage to other creatures. So if I was fighting some robots or something, well, I could make it so that I could lure them out to these bloater larvae, and I could use their explosions to help me fight the steamer robots. So I hope that gave you a sense of what playing Everwind looks like. Now I'll show you how to get your very first airship when you start a new game. Alright, so we spawn on the roof of this building, and we have this pipe that falls down right next to us from the sky. So our character gets up, and he's going to grab the pipe, and that's going to serve as our very first weapon in this game. Alright, so we wake up in this strange place, and we get this tutorial. Okay, it tells us the controls. We can jump, hold shift to run, press control to crouch, and you look around. You can pick stuff up off the ground. You can pick up these rocks or this wood. So let's head down these stairs, and there's some growling in here. So we meet our first enemy. So he's right in here, and he's the skeleton. He's a Mortivar novice. He's not very tough, and now he's gone. So we beat our first enemy. Oh, let's look in here, see if there's anything. Let's just grab this. It's not particularly useful, but maybe we should grab it anyway. You want to grab everything at the beginning of the game. So now if you look in here, oh, we have a rock and we have a stone shovel. And you'll notice these things here, they're red. That means they're not broken, but they're damaged. They're going to be less effective. All right, that's just a chain. So we'll go down here. And, oh, well, we just got our shovel. So this is meant to show us that you can use the shovel to break dirt blocks. And they don't drop dirt blocks like they would in Minecraft. They drop the dirt item. So if I go in here, there's dirt, and I can actually craft this into dirt blocks right here. So it's 4 pieces of dirt for 1 dirt block. Then I get the dirt block item, which of course I can place just like in Minecraft. So, oh hey, look at that. There's some mushrooms that I can pick up. Maybe these will be useful soon. Ah, some water. So it's not like in Minecraft where you have buckets. No, you just have water as an item, which is kind of strange. Okay, so we have another kind of mushroom. And what is this right here? Oh, okay, so this is a cooking station. So we have one recipe that we can make, and that's the mushroom stew. So that takes the porcini, the chanterelle, and the water. Oh, but it needs fuel. So luckily I have some wood that I picked up at the beginning, and I'm going to make some food with this. So we only have enough water to make 1 stew. So we're going to wait for that to cook. And the stew gives us 60 HP over 30 seconds. And considering that right now, I think we only have 100 HP. Well, this is going to heal us back to full over the indicated time. So let's just pick up some of these things. We can pick up grass, and that gives us fiber. And fiber is important because you need to use that to make thread and rope. Okay, so we head down here. Oh, okay, we see there's an area down here. Just grab these mushrooms. Ah, so what's this? A repair station. Okay, but we don't have any repair kits. So let's find some repair kits first. Ah, pickaxe. Good. That's useful. And with the pickaxe, you can mine this copper ore right here. So copper is pretty important. And actually, the copper is what we're going to use to make the repair kits. You can grab armor from this armor stand right there, and you can equip it by pressing tab to open up the inventory and dropping it into the slot right here. Okay, so we have a quest to obtain a copper ingot. Just go over here to the furnace, and we're going to click on here, and we're going to put fuel there, and I'm going to press here max 6. So we're going to make 6 copper ingots. So while we're waiting, why don't we look down here? Well, there's a guy down there, but how do we even get there? Well, we're going to have to break this. But I think I'm going to go get some dirt blocks from up here so that I can use that as a platform if I want to get back out after. Alright, so now I've got my ingots, and now, oh, well, look at this. I can make some repair kits. So I'm going to go ahead and make the maximum, which is 6. So I have 18 repair kits. So each time you make 1, it makes 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. And now I can go here and I can click on what I want to fix, and it won't fix it all the way. It'll fix it most of the way. For some of them it will, but some things need to be repaired multiple times. And the pickaxe I won't repair yet because it's still pretty high. So, okay, before we go outside, let's just break this to see what's downstairs. Alright, so there's another skeleton, and now we're dealing him 2 damage instead of 1 because our weapon is not broken anymore. So when we fixed it, it goes back to maximum efficiency. So I did see a chest down here. Aha. Oh, but it needs a key. Luckily, this guy right here has a key. So I'll take that from him. And while holding the key, I'll go here and I'll press E. And hopefully there'll be some good stuff in the chest. Okay, so this is a steering wheel, a potion, a wooden helmet recipe. And oh, this is a split plank edge. This is a kind of wooden sword. Some coins. Well, it's just as strong as our pipe right here. Do I have an axe? I do not have an axe. Can I craft an axe? Well, I need some sticks. So I would use an axe to break that chest because that's going to be useful because in our airship we're going to need storage. So I did bring some dirt to get up there, but I'm just going to go out of this front door. Oh. Boat. That's useful. Okay, new quest started. Learn basics flying ship. Alright, so I gotta find... This is a destroyed cockpit, a destroyed balloon, and a destroyed engine. So, oh, looks like they're over there. But first, let's just kill these guys to get some meat because we're gonna need food. in our journeys. So now I've got some meat and some feathers. Feathers are useful for one thing, and that's for crafting arrows. So there's birds, and often they have eggs. So I'm just gonna go and see if I can find a nest that has eggs. Oh, okay, there's these boars. These are dangerous, so I'm actually gonna run. I'm not gonna fight him. Boars will fight back. Oh, there's the eggs I was talking about. Let's go over here, though, and try to find this wrecked airship. Oh, there's some copper ore right there. That's useful because you need copper for repair kits and later on some higher tier tools. I'm just going to grab some of these pieces of grass right here to get fiber as I'm passing through. Okay, so I'm out of stamina, so I'm just going to have to walk until my stamina recharges. They're still chasing me, but I can get away by walking quite easily. So a food source early on is going to be capybaras, which is unfortunate because they're kind of nice little animals. They're not hurting anyone, but we got to eat, so we like to eat the capybaras. And now I've kind of got myself into this predicament where I'm getting chased, and I don't have any food because it's the beginning of the game. So actually, I can beat this guy if I just keep out of range. If I just keep backing up, I should be okay. But boars are pretty dangerous, and there's also bears. So the most dangerous enemies in this game are actually just the wild animals. So there's the boars, there's bears. Oh, okay, I got some boots. I can put those on. Yeah, so the capybaras are a good source of food. And this he's got a tangerine on his head. So actually, I can go ahead and eat that tangerine to recover some health. So it's not as good as meat, but it does the job, and you don't even have to cook it. Okay, so here is this wrecked ship. So you're gonna find a lot of wrecked ships like this in the game where you can get a lot of steamer parts. So we have to scan these items. So with the compass out, I just look at it and press E. So I'll scan it, and that's gonna teach me how to craft it. So I'll gain the recipe from this. I'll go ahead and scan everything else. This is the cockpit, and these are balloons. So actually, the ideal way to break these is with the axe. So I want to make the axe, but how do I do that? Well, I need these sticks. So for branches, we can either punch a tree like in Minecraft, or we can just find some lying on the ground. So I picked that up, and can I just build the axe? Okay, no, I need 3 sticks for some reason. Let me just find some more sticks so I can make an axe. You can also pick up things that grow on the ground, like flowers, just all kinds of herbs and plants. You can pick up rocks. You don't have to break stone. So there's like some Minecraft mods that exist out there that are realistic where you have to like pick up rocks and sticks off the ground. Let me just find one more stick so I can make that axe, so we can break the blocks like a civilized person and not try to brute force it with a tool that's not the right one for the job. So there's the 3rd stick. So now I can go ahead and make that axe. So by the way, it uses rock, stick, and rope. So I found some rope earlier. And if I wanted to make rope, well, I can make that with fiber. So I could just go here. It's 4 fiber for 1 rope. And fiber can also be used to make thread, which is used to make cloth. And cloth in turn is an ingredient for things like balloons. So now I can just go ahead and break all of these, and I can acquire a bunch of items. So I'm getting some scrap. I'm getting some other stuff. That was a cockpit, so I got some cockpit stuff. This is an engine. Getting engine stuff. So I'll pick up these pipes too, because the pipes are useful for transmitting the energy. Alright, I've got balloon. And I'll pick up some of this scrap. Okay, wooden pipes, those are useful. And these here are steamer blocks, so I can't break those. Those are indestructible at the moment. This too. Pick up that scrap. There's this wood here that I can break. And by the way, when you break blocks, they don't drop themselves like in Minecraft. They drop their constituent parts. So here I picked up some planks. So this is actually good because it saves room in your inventory. Because let's say in Minecraft you break something that has like stairs, planks, and blocks. So then you have all of those cluttering up your inventory. This, when you break them, they just drop their constituent parts. So you only have 1 slot in your inventory that's being used up. So let's say I want to craft some planks. I can go ahead and craft those. And you might be thinking, well, where's the slabs? Where's the stairs? There are no slabs or stairs. There's only the plank. But if you press R, you can cycle through the different shapes. So there's all these shapes. So if I want to play stairs, I just select the stairs. and I can place them. And if I want a slab, well, I can just select that too. And they're both regular slabs and vertical slabs. So some of these shapes are pretty special looking. Like this is like a sideways stair. And I guess you can use that to make these sort of corners. And you also have some more exotic shapes. Like this would be like a joint of, let's say you have 4 stairs in Minecraft together. Well, it would be this sort of thing. That's how placing blocks works. But anyway, let's craft the parts that are required for our airship. So can we do this here? No, we're going to need to build ourselves a crafting station. Okay, so we're going to need some planks. So I use the planks to build these blocks. So let's just go ahead and grab some more planks. So these are dropping planks. And if I break these blocks that I placed, I'm also going to get some planks too. So now I can go ahead and craft the crafting station. And I can craft the steamer parts. Okay, I'm missing stuff. I'm missing copper nails and I'm missing some rocks. So I'm going to need to go and find some. Oh, I'm also missing some sticks. So let's chop down some trees to get some branches. And now I've got some logs and branches. And of course I can craft some planks out of logs if I want. Though for the sticks, you can craft them with planks, which is pretty useful. And then for the rocks, well, I'm just going to break these rocks right here. And that's forest ground, so that's going to give you both dirt and rock. So maybe if I go down here, I can find some more. Just go ahead and break those. Get some more rocks. And we also needed some nails. So for the nails, you can either find some more copper or maybe I'll go find some barrels and break those, because the barrels, they drop nails when you break them. Oh yeah, and I leveled up. So to level up, you just go here and you can pick your skill. So I'm just going to choose one. You know, why don't we do life detection? And this will add a new ability to our compass. So we select our compass, click, and then we can use it to find where living creatures are. So the green ones are animals and the red ones are monsters. And if you're in a village, well, the villagers will also appear red. So let's just grab some nails. Do the crates have nails? No, they don't. What if I go up here? Will there be another source of nails? Oh, this is pretty broken. So there might not be anything here. Oh, there's a chest. Ah, okay, some lockpicks and some copper. Okay, I'm just gonna grab these other things too. And maybe with the copper that I found, oh, I'm gonna have to smelt it, aren't I? If I want some nails. Okay, so let's go smelt some copper so we can turn it into nails. And this might be the only time in the game where you actually make nails, because you're going to find so many nails all over the place in this game. So let's just go back to this building here. So I hesitate to call it a base because you're not really going to be coming back here. So it's your base is going to be your airship, and this is really only a place that you're going to be at the beginning of the game. So I'm just going to go back here and I'm going to use the dirt to get back up there. Actually, I'm going to do it here because I'm going to need less dirt. And I can just open this trap door. And the shape that I selected earlier for the planks is still selected. So I'm just going to go back to these regular old blocks. I'll go back up here so that I can use the furnace to make some more copper ingots. Oh, and I only have enough copper to make 1 ingot. Hopefully that'll be enough for the nails. Otherwise, I'll have to go find some more copper ore. Or you know what? Maybe there's some barrels here that I can break. Let me just see if I can craft the nails. Ah, so I can craft some nails. It's also a good idea to cook some meat while we're here because we don't have any other food. So let's equip this as well to give us some more protection. I'm going to make another crafting station because I don't feel like going all the way back to where we were. And I'm going to see if I can build the parts right now with what we have. Okay, so wooden engine, I'll make one of those. Energy generator, make one of those. Cockpit, oh, I need some more sticks. So actually I can make the sticks right here. Okay, oh, and now I also have to make the balloon. Oh, so I need some cloth and some rope. So let's build a bit of rope. I think we needed, how much rope? We needed 8 rope. And I'm building that from the fiber. Now I need cloth, and that comes from thread. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to go and get a bit more fiber right now so that I can make the balloon. Then we'll have everything we need to make our airship, except for the airship core itself, which we'll have to go find right after. So we're pretty close to getting our first airship. So now I'll just grab some fiber. I'll grab this grass so that we can make some thread to make some cloth for our balloon. Probably just kill all the animals you see early on, especially just so you have enough food. Because you're going to be needing a lot of food to heal. So I need a bunch of thread to make cloth. And how much do I need for the balloon? Oh, I need 10. So now I can make the balloon. And I have everything that I need. So now I have this beacon over here, and that's an abandoned flying ship. So I'm going to grab my boat, and this might be the only time in the game where you actually use the boat. Because why do you need a boat if you have an airship, right? So I don't have an airship yet. I'm going to row out all the way here, 300 meters, to find the abandoned flying ship. And you see all those places with the vertical lines, those are all other abandoned ships. So let's say you lose your airship, which you probably won't lose your airship. Let's say you just want to make another airship. Well, you can do that by finding those abandoned ship cores. So to claim this, I just have to place down the cockpit. So I'll place it right here in the front. And now this is my ship, but I can't fly it yet because, well, it doesn't have any sort of engines or balloons attached to it. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to grab all this. I've even got some pipes here. Okay, so the first airship is not going to be elegant at all. It's going to be a little janky. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll place down the balloon first because that's the biggest part. I'll place the energy generator here, and then I'll put the engine here. And now all we have to do is give this some fuel and start the engine. Go to the cockpit and fly around. So I'll just press spacebar to rise up, and oh, you know what, let's not forget our boat. So this boat helped us. I kept my boat. I'm sentimental like that. You can just punch it, the boat will drop, and if I want to get back in here, I can actually jump up out of the water. So in Minecraft, it's kind of hard to jump out of the water unless the blocks are at water level, but here it's fairly easy to just jump out the height of one block. I'll just go back to the cockpit, and now I can fly around. I can do whatever I want. So if you've gotten this far, congratulations, you've got your airship and you can explore the world. So I would suggest that you go back to the starter island, chop down some trees so you can make your ship a little bit bigger, craft some of the stations like the cooking station, the crafting station, and the repair station, or you can just loot the ones that are in the starting castle too. So if you made it this far, you have your very own airship. You can go around and explore. The world is your oyster. If you enjoyed watching this video and you'd like to see more, then please consider subscribing and activating notifications. And I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me there. Thank you for watching.